The fast gravel starts here, and with Rally Estonia for 2026 about to get underway, let's have a look through what to expect as the WRC returns to Tartu. And we'll start off with the entry list. Where possible, I'm going to try and give it in terms of the running order, and I think I'm able to do that for the Rally 1 cars. Starting off, open the road will be Elfyn Evans, championship leader, ahead of his teammate Takamoto Katsuta, ahead of his teammate Sebastian Ogier, ahead of his teammate Oliver Solberg, ahead of his teammate Sami Pyri. It might be the other way round for Solberg Pyri. It is. Pyri will be 4th on the road, Solberg will be 5th. But it'll be all Toyotas opening the road ahead of the lead Hyundai of Thierry Neuville. He will be followed by Adrien Fourmeau. And then returning to the Hyundai fold, Esa-Pekka Lappi and Eni Malkkonen in the 3rd i20N Rally 1 this coming weekend. Josh McAlane will open the M Sport offering courtesy of that 5th place. I believe it was 5th. Was it 6th in the end after the penalty? I think it was 6th. In the Acropolis, John Armstrong will be the 2nd Puma, and then we have a 3rd Puma Rally 1. Again, it's Martin Sesks, who has performed well in these fast gravel events in the past. We'll see if he can follow it up this time around. And then we get into WRC2. Now, in terms of seeding, Rupa Korhonen is the top seed, and then Teemu Suninen is 2nd, with Robert Verveege, the most recent WRC2 winner, 3rd seed. I don't know if he'll jump ahead of Suninen now because of the changes in the standings. But behind them, we have Fals Aldevar, we have Emil Lindholm, we have Gus Greensmith, who is not entered for points in this event. We have Jan Solons, we have Lauri Yuna, we have Yuki Yamamoto. Arthur Pellemorg is the lead Hyundai after a roster that is all Toyotas and Skodas up to that point. Then Miller Johansson, Giovanni Trantin, Bernhard Ten Brink, the lead Ford, and the only Ford entered for WRC2 in this event is Romme Jurgensen. After that, we have the teenage sensation Jasper Vahr, the first non-Japanese driver signed to the Toyota Gazoo Racing Next Generation program. He's then followed by WRC2 and ERC regular Mika Heikkila, before we have a run of local drivers. Patrick Enoch, Aegon Kaur, who you might remember from years gone by on the WRC support package. Carl Martin Volva, Josef Ralph Nurgin, who is behind the wheel of a GR Yaris. We've seen him behind the wheel of WRC machinery, WRC3 that is, in the past. And then for the remainder of the Rally 2 field, the other teenage sensation, Intuka Koppanen. And then the next generation others for the GR Yaris Rally 2s. We've previously seen them in the Rally 3 machinery, Takumi Matsushita and Shotaro Goto. Then we have Johan Kefferbock, Uyghur Soyu, Jorge Martinez Merizalde. That rounds out our WRC2 entries here. Following that, we have our WRC3s, which is another generation of Toyota Gazoo racing drivers for Ryo Ogata and Kanta Yanagida. Then we have Timek Abramovsky, we have Nathaniel Brun, we have Preet Koik, we have Karim Kazaz, we have Jarko Nakara, we have Gregor Wonder, Nicholas Otto, Andre Martinez Merizalde, and then we get into the non-WRC entries, which includes the rally organisers. Irmo Ava, who we saw way back when with the C3 WRC, with Silva Gut alongside for a red-grey enter. That's Marco Martin's outfit, red-grey. Toyota GR Yaris Rally 2. Isaac Hatanmar will be behind the wheel of a Fiesta Rally 3. Luca Hölbling will be behind the wheel of a Fabia RS. Then we have Isma Arnold Unt behind the wheel of a Fiesta Rally 3. Mika Karppinen behind the wheel of a Clio, and then a Seoul Rally 4 on the entry list for Travis Paz. Now, as for the itinerary for this event, this is going to be a more condensed event, by which I mean Shakedown kicks us off on Friday morning, and then we have a variety in the structure over Friday and Saturday, and Sunday only has 2 stages, with the power stage and the first run of that test. We start off with the caster test. That is the shakedown for this event. It served as the shakedown as well last year and in 2023, and it's unchanged from those 2 appearances. Then Friday afternoon is when the proper stages kick off. Ranitsa will be the first in both loops, 21.45 kilometers. We have seen this in previous editions of Estonia, and again, it is unchanged. I believe the main difference is the location of some of the chicanes has been moved this time around into a more spectator-friendly kind of area through a town. So expect some sideways action there. Stages 2 and 5, so the second stage of each of the loops is going to be the Karaski test, 11.97 kilometers. We have also seen this in the WRC. It was also here last year. It was part of, I believe, Sunday stages last year, but again, it is unchanged. Then Canopy is the third stage in both the loops, 17.43 kilometers. And again, we have seen this in the WRC. We've seen it in 2025. It was in the ERC in 24, being run in the opposite direction. When it was here in 23 and 22 is the other way around, but this is the same direction as we saw it last year. 17.43 kilometers, flat out with a twisty bit right near the start of it as well. A little kind of Mickey Mousey section with some hairpins. The other stage that will be running on the Friday is the Elverlyn test. This is a test that we did also see last year. It is 1.72 kilometers. It is a blast through the town of Elva with a nice little donut section of 2 laps to round it off around a statue in the middle of town. It's pretty cool. Saturday is going to be a bit different in that you end up with a morning loop of 2 stages repeated and an afternoon loop of 2 stages repeated. The first stages that you will see on the Saturday are going to be the Pesiare test. I hope I've got that pronunciation right. There are a lot of accents there. There's a lot of umlauts over A's. This was one of the openers last year. It was one of the Friday stages, 24.35 kilometers. It is unchanged as well, with some twisty foresty sections to start off, broken up in the middle by another one as well, but there's some fast blasts just after the 2 twisty sections for the start and the end. The second stage in the morning loops is the must-fee test, 10.67 kilometers. Don't. It is shorter than last year's one, which was 11.37 kilometers. It's just missing the final 700 meters or so from the end of last year's test, but it is still the same fast blast that we can see with a nice little hairpin junction towards the end. Our second loop, the afternoon loop, is it featuring the longest stage? One of the longest stages, actually, in this rally. 23.74 kilometers is the Cambia test, which is one that we have seen numerous times over the years in Rally Estonia. In fact, it's one of those ones that enveloped another stage as well, the Neruti test, in previous years. We end up running through a couple of different towns over the course of this. We run through some lakey regions. This is one of the more Finlandy stages, if you catch my drift, for this event. And then we have one of the stages that you'll recognise because it's in EA Sports WRC as well, the Otepää test, 15.16 kilometres. And that means that it is going to be slightly longer than last year's edition. What it does is it changes direction in the middle of the stage. It's got new 7Ks. I'm trying to see if there was a last time when those 7Ks were run in the WRC, and I believe we are going back to something like 2022 or even 2021 when we last saw this part of the stage being featured. So for the local drivers, this is going to be a bit more familiar, but for the World Rally cars, it'll be a bit trickier. However, stage 16, the final test on the Saturday, is a very familiar test. Tartu Vald. It's the Tartu stage that, if you remember from WRC Generations or the Killerton WRC games, it's a spectator-friendly arena. You go around this nice lake section. Sometimes they let off fireworks or flames. It can be pretty cool to see. And then for Sunday, like I said, it's only one stage. It's run twice. It's the Kariku test. 24.39 kilometers. I think that makes the longest test of the rally. It's, yeah, got an extra, 190 meters compared to last year, added right at the end of the stage. But there's no real changes to it. We end up blasting along some of the highways. We end up going through some wooded sections as well. There's a twisty bit around 16.5k into the stage when we go off of the main roads. It's quite nice. It gives you a little bit of a taste of everything towards the end of the rally. And in fact, yeah, I believe last year it was also the power stage. And let's talk about last year, where it was a sensational win for Oliver Solberg and Elliot Edmondson, their first win in the WRC. It was a domineering performance by the driver and co-driver of the 99 car, winning by 25.2 over hometown hero Oid Tanak, who is not here this year after his retirement from the WRC at the end of last season. Thierry Neuville was third. He was 23.1 seconds behind his teammate, as they ended up ahead of Carlo Rovanperä, who again is also no longer competing in the WRC, and Adrien Fourmeau rounded out the top 5 ahead of Elfyn Evans and Sami Pyri. I don't think we had an Ogier here last year, did we? It's the eventual champion choosing to, I believe, skip this and Finland on his way to title number 9. Yeah, don't really know what to expect here. Martin Sesks was the lead Puma, 3:36 off. And if we have a look at what happened in WRC2 last year, it was Robert Vervesh from Jorg Linnemar, who is not present. And Rupe Korhonen rounded out the podium from Mika Häkkilä and then Rally Star graduate Rome Jørgensen. So who will my want to watch be this weekend? I believe in WRC we have to look at last year's winner, Oliver Solberg. Now, Solberg and Edmondson, they've had a bad run of luck. Yeah, they won the season opener. Yeah, they ended up with leading the championship at one point. And yeah, they won last year. But we're talking 4 costly mistakes from the past 5 rallies. They're going to hope to go all out. However, do remember what happened when they tried to go all out in 2022. Their rookie season in Rally 1 in Finland. They crashed the first corner. Solberg, make it to the end without mistakes is going to be the big thing this weekend. If he does that, he could full well compete for the win. Elsewhere, Elfyn Evans is going to want to hope that his championship lead can get extended by getting back into top form. However, open the road could be a bit of an issue. Likewise for Taki Katsuta. Yes, Katsuta was third last time out in the Acropolis, but that's not necessarily a guarantee that things will go well. The Japanese driver, co-driven by the Irishman Aaron Johnston, could full well end up in a world of trouble with road sweeping. That said, Taka is good at fast rallies. We've seen him in Sweden. We've seen him in Finland. We could see that again in Estonia. If I was to put money on a dark horse for this event, it would be the likes of Sami Pyri or Esa-Pekka Lappi. They're in a good position in the running order. They are flying Finns. They've had great performances. Sami Pyri has had a run of podiums. It could be any of them. And heck, if you want an absolute wild card, why not Martin Sesks? I know that I sound like I'm overhyping the Latvian, but he's been rapid on these fast gravel rallies. Granted, this is where he's had ERC experience, so we've seen it in Poland, we've seen it in his home round for Liepāja, and that was in the WRC. I reckon we could see it for Estonia as well. As for WRC2, I'm going to have to go for local drivers. Robert Vervesh is in the form of his life at the moment. And likewise, Robert Jørgensen has been competitive on the British scene and has just been gaining more and more experience in that Rally 2 car. Will the Fiesta still be able to be competitive? We'll have to wait and see on that. But I have a feeling that we could see great performances from the two of them. I have a feeling that Jasper Vaar could be a bit of a wild card as well. A teenager winning WRC2. It would make him the next Rovanperä, which he more or less is, let's be honest. Anyways, folks, that will be that for this video. As always, thank you so much for watching and joining. Thank you for your continued support, and look forward to next weekend. I'm hoping to get the review out on the Sunday once the rally ends, even if it's a more condensed and more hectic event. But from me, till next time, bye-bye for now.